United States of America's culture of rape. What is a rape culture? A rape culture condones the physical and emotional terrorism of women as a norm. Therefore, sexual assaults and rapes go underreported. Here's a trigger warning. Proceed judiciously. There is nothing remotely divine about rape, but steeping ourselves in denial, ignorance, and happy oblivion is hurting too many people and can hurt a lot more. This is a candid and extensive discussion about rape, sexual assault, incest, and sexual abuse, and the rape culture that exists in these United States today. Be forewarned, this is a trigger warning. I am a survivor. I was a victim of a sexual assault at the age of 8. My 15-year-old male cousin was babysitting me. We were running through the house playing games. Then he came in the room with his pants around his ankles. He threw me on the bed and he tried to get on top of me. I fought him off. I never told anyone until today. 10 years later, he came back to New York for a family gathering at Christmas time. As soon as I saw him, I went into a rage. I pounced on him, knocked him to the ground. I got on top of him. I started punching him. And then I got up and I ran outside. I never told anyone why, and no one ever asked. The definition of rape is forcible sexual intercourse either vaginally, orally, given or receiving, or anally, including using foreign objects. Rape and attempted rape includes the use of psychological coercion and or physical force or the threat of force. Sexual assault is any unwanted sexual contact with the offender, including grabbing, fondling, verbal threats, or exposing of genitalia. You are guilty of rape, attempted rape, or sexual assault if the victim does not give clear and unambiguous informed consent. In January 2012, the FBI added to the definition of rape, "You're a rapist if the victim is incapable of giving consent because of temporary or permanent mental or physical incapacity, including due to influence of drugs, alcohol, or because of age." It doesn't matter if the incapacitation is self-inflicted or he or she has lied about their age. So if he or she is drunk or high on drugs when you meet them, you can't take advantage of a person in distress. No clear, informed consent equals rape. This person will probably wind up in trouble one day. There is no such thing as implied consent. It's either clear and unambiguous informed consent or it's rape. And the number one reason for rape are rapists. It's never the victim's fault. Never. No means no. For those who don't understand English that well, let me translate. Not now means no. No thanks means no. I'd rather be alone means no. Let's just go to sleep means no. We've been drinking means no. I've changed my mind means no. I'm not sure means no. Silence means no. I don't feel like it means no. Not tonight, I fill in the blank means no. I'm not interested means no. Don't touch me means no. F off means no. No means no. No excuses. Every 2 minutes, someone in America is a victim of rape or sexual assault. Over 237,000 sexual assaults happen each year. 51,000 happen in the workplace or parking garage. 1 out of 6 women are targets or victims. That's 17.7 million women have been assaulted. 9 out of 10 are female and 1 out of 10 are males. That's 3% of the population, 2.78 million male victims. 60% of the assaults go unreported for females, 80 to 90% go unreported for males. There are 32,000 pregnancies each year, and 66% of the victims know their attacker. Only 31% are stranger rapes. Predators prey on the weak, the young, and the powerless. Most rapists are serial rapists who prey on the young. 80% of the victims are under the age 30. 44% under the age of 18, and 1 in 6 are under the age of 12. 93% of kids know their abuser, and 75% will require medical attention after their abuse, but only 35% get reported. And with boys, only 10% ever tell anyone about their abuse.
Earlier this month, Pope Benedict, speaking to thousands of Catholic priests, again begged forgiveness for years of sexual abuse inside his church.
When we talk about serial rapists, we must talk about the Catholic Church. Many rapes have been reported, confirmed or unconfirmed, yet not many rapists have been punished. Last year, for the first time, the Holy See released numbers of priests disciplined for rape and molestation of children. More than 2,500 were given lesser reprimands, but 848 priests were defrocked for sexual abuse since 2004. Also, since 2004, there have been more than 3,400 credible cases of abuse referred to the Vatican, including 401 cases in 2013 alone. Yet, only 848 priests have been defrocked or returned to the lay state by the Pope. Another 2,572 were sentenced to a lifetime of penance and prayer or some lesser sanction, which is often used when the priest is elderly or infirm.
Did it start here with just Father Jupin at first?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It started with Father Jupin as the grooming, the manipulation, playing like, you know, touchy-feely games, you know, just kind of trying to make me feel, I guess, comfortable, you know, and then it would escalate into much more deep sexual acts. And then this is where I was introduced to Father Opals and Father Douglas through Father Jupin. And that's where I was basically passed around as there's no other word but as a sex slave for their pleasure. And the whole time it's hard because you look up to a priest, and coming from a strong Catholic family, you know, these guys are respected in the community, and if they're telling you to trust them and to trust God and to trust what they're saying, I mean, it's hard for a 10-year-old boy to, you know, to disagree, because you think and I thought that's what life was about. And, you know, to look back at it now and realize that that's not what life is, and what happened to me was nothing I asked for, nothing I wanted. It was just forced and manipulated and almost threatened to me and groomed.
Father Opals, Father Jupin, and Father Douglas were all there.
Correct.
At once.
And that was the worst. Being used by Father Jupin for his sexual pleasure at the beginning, and then I remember being brought to a bedroom where Father Opals was, and kind of being patted on the butt by Father Jupin, saying, you know, go in there and show him the same love that you show me, and you know, God's love, and show him that. And I can remember the door closing behind me, and I can remember you know, I can remember Father Opals having, you know, his way with me sexually, and then remembering after that, then being brought to a bathroom where Father Douglas was sitting, and I can remember then being urged again to show him the love and God's love and treat him, you know, and I remember having to perform oral sex on him, and it's appalling, and it's just outrageous to me now.
There is a big problem in the Catholic Church, and they are working on it to try and do something about it. But the numbers are really horrifying. 80% of the victims are male, and in most cases, 40% of them, the abuse started between the ages of 10 and 14. And over the 10-year period ending in 2013, starting in 2004, the church paid over $3 billion in settlement claims, with many more claims pending. A lot of young women in high school dream of going on to college to change their lives and better themselves, get a nice career and have a nice job. But for many, that dream is becoming a nightmare. Their worlds are being turned upside down by sexual violence. Young women in college have a 2 to 11 times greater chance of becoming a victim of sexual assault than women their same age who did not even go to college. According to recent data, 1 in 4 women who finish college will become a victim of rape, a sexual assault, or an attempt before they graduate. 90% will be by a friend or an acquaintance. Only 12% of those cases will be reported to law enforcement. 9 out of 10 campus rapes are perpetrated by repeat offenders. The average rapist will rape at least 6 times. Rape is the most terrifying assault short of murder. Yet some college girls don't feel that they have been raped because the physical and emotional injuries are not severe. It is still physical and emotional terrorism against women, and it further exacerbates our rape culture in America. The unknowing rapist. A lot of guys and girls don't realize that they're rapists. The number one predatory drug for rapists is alcohol. 90% of sexual assaults involve alcohol. Many times this inebriation is self-inflicted, often occurring before the person even arrives at the party. However, let me be clear, having drunken sex is still rape because the victim's self-inflicted incapacitation precludes him or her from giving clear and unambiguous informed consent. Without consent, you become a rapist. Any sex without consent is rape. And yes, it is still rape even if they can't remember it.
She accepted a full scholarship at the University of the Pacific, a picturesque school in Stockton, California, with 3,000 undergraduates and a successful Division I men's basketball program and a growing women's program.
And so you had a good year your freshman year,
yes,
right?
Great year. Actually made an impact, I like to think.
But everything changed for Beckett Brennan one Saturday night in May of 2008. She went to a party with her teammates at a student housing complex known as the Townhouses, where she says she drank 6 shots of vodka. She says later she found herself stranded at an off-campus party looking for a ride.
I was offered a ride by 2 of the men on the men's basketball team, assuming that we were going back to the Townhouses.
Did you feel completely comfortable taking a ride with them?
Absolutely. There was nothing, there were no red flags that came up, no reason for me not to trust them.
When they got back to the Townhouses, she went into one of the basketball players' apartments, thinking the party was continuing there. Instead, she claims they led her upstairs into an empty bedroom and raped her. Then she says a third basketball player came into the room, pushed her into a closet, and raped her again.
I remember them saying, "Don't tell anybody, and this is our little secret."
What were you saying to them?
"Why are you doing this to me?" Over and over and over again.
When it was over, she called friends for help. Back at her dorm and without her knowledge, one of them recorded her on his cell phone.
and they were like taking off my clothes, and I was like, inside the closet, like in the corner, like trying to get away, and I don't want anybody to find out. No, I don't want anybody to find out.
According to a study funded by the Justice Department, 95% of victims of sexual assault on college campuses don't report it. And neither did Beckett Brennan, not to Stockton police, not to the university. The next day, she got through her last final exam and flew home to Colorado. But her friends were worried and upset and gave that recording to the school. Her assistant coach called her at home.
Is that when you told your mom and dad what had happened? What did they say?
That was definitely the hardest conversation I've ever had.
It's nightmarish, you have rage, you don't know how to act or react. You're just trying to hold things together and process.
4 days after the alleged assault, university police questioned the 3 basketball players Beckett had identified on the tape as her assailants: Michael Nunnally, Stefan Johnson, and Michael Kirby. School officials urged Beckett to report the assault to Stockton police. A few weeks later, she talked to a detective there, and after that conversation, she decided not to file criminal charges.
And men, you don't have to worry about false reports of rape. Only 2% of rape reports turn out to be false. More people fake their own deaths than lie about rape. But you do have to worry about getting raped, because 4% of undergraduate men have experienced sexual assault while in college. And those are the ones that are reported. Now let's visit the military, where there is a widespread epidemic of rape and sexual assault going on in the military. The rape culture has existed in the military for decades. The problem is the military polices itself. And if you are a victim of assault, you have to report up the chain of command. But usually the people you have to report to are the people who are assaulting you. Every 4 hours there is a rape or sexual assault reported in the military. Between 500,000 and 1 million women have been victims of rape or sexual assault over the last few decades.
Everything changed the day that I was raped.
He hit me in the head and knocked me out.
I remember holding the closet thinking, what just happened?
A month later, I found out I was pregnant.
If this is happening to me, surely I'm not the only one.
$16,150 service members were assaulted in 2009.
About 500,000 women have now been sexually assaulted in the U.S. military.
They let this man get away with everything but murder.
They gave him Military Professional of the Year award during the rape investigation.
They made it very, very clear if I said anything, they were going to kill me.
Most Americans assume that there is access to a system of justice.
You would think that because the military is about protecting our country, that certainly they would want to protect their own.
We're a country who needs every good soldier to make sure we have a strong military defense.
How many women are leaving the military because they've been sexually assaulted or raped?
Civilians see it as being a military problem.
Most rapists are repetitive criminals. They do it again and again.
They go on to literally prey on women and men, girls and boys in our neighborhoods back home.
There were 19,000 rapes reported last year. However, 80 to 90% go unreported. 14% of the victims are gang raped. 20% are raped more than once. 35% are men. The suicide rate has reached 1 every 65 minutes, or 22 a day. The military considers rape an occupational hazard, yet when victims come forward, they are involuntarily discharged, and the rapists are honorably discharged.
This is Democracy Now! As we turn today to a new report from the military that finds suicides by active duty soldiers hit another record high in 2011, and violent sex crimes jumped more than 30%. More than half of the sex crimes victims were active duty female soldiers aged 18 to 21.
I went up and I knocked on his door and I said, I need the keys. And he said, sure, come on in here and get them. And I said, no, I'll just wait right here. And he started yelling at me and calling me a disrespectful non-rate and belittling me. So I'm just like waiting for him to hand me the keys and I'll go away with, you know, my verbal abuse. And he told me to get in here again. He was almost like 3 feet away from me and is holding out the keys, almost taunting me. And he said, here. And I said, you know, reaching for them. And as I reached for them, he grabbed my arm in the back of my hair bun and dragged me in. A couple weeks prior, I was hit before I was actually raped. And when I went to my command after being hit...
How did he hit you?
We had got done the training. It was taps. It was time for bed. And the way my birthing area was set up, it was in a U shape. So I was cornered, and he had come in, and he would drink on duty, and he was drunk. I could smell the liquor. And he had an erection, and he had asked me what I was doing, and I said, I'm trying to change out. Could you please leave, you know? And he came forward to me, and I'm trying to get louder to hopefully one of the men would hear and come up, and he would leave. And he reached out my hand, and he made me touch him, and when I felt him, I took my left hand and I pushed him against the chest and I tried to yell, like, get away from me. And when I yelled, he hit me across the left side of my face. And then a couple weeks later, after I was raped, I went directly to my command, my senior chief. I didn't even put in a chit to go up the chain of command. I went straight to him. And when I told him this, and I was completely devastated in tears, it was so embarrassing for me to tell someone that I had been brutally raped. He hit me during my rape. And he rolled his eyes and he sighed at me and he said, Choka, how many times do I have to tell you, we are not doing anything with him until after the ICE symposium, and get out of here, get. So I got to keep radio comms with him. I got to make him coffee. And after the ICE symposium, they brought in CGI.
Which is?
Coast Guard investigators. They told me that I was not going to report the rape as rape because he admitted to having consensual sex with me, although hitting me during it. So they made me change my statement.
The problem is this perpetrator, this assailant, has probably gone on to do this to other women, probably did it to other women before. I mean, most rapists are serial rapists. And in the military, when they have the kind of authority that someone above an enlisted person has, they can do exactly what they did with Corey, which is order them into positions, go ahead and rape them, and then they're the ones who are believed because they have the higher rank.
Well, I went to boot camp in Orlando, Florida, and school in Orlando, Florida, and then was assigned a duty station in Adak, Alaska, which is in the Aleutian Islands. I got there on Valentine's Day, 1989, and within 2 months of me being there, I was drugged and raped for the first time, you know, and so I went and I laid down, and I woke up to seeing him in the doorway, and I started to try to get up and fight. He shoved me back down on the bed, and as I continued to try to fight, he undressed me, you know, got my pants off, and eventually put a pillow over my head, and all I could hear were things going on around me. People, you know, knew where I was, but no one did anything. So.
Did you report it right away?
I didn't report any of my attacks. I had multiple rapes when I was in Naval Security Group, ADAC.
When you report something, you better be prepared for the repercussions.
If a man gets accused of rape, it's a setup. The woman's lying.
I could choose to report it, but if they found that what I was saying wasn't to be truthful, then that I would be reduced in rank.
You could lose your rate, you could lose rank, you could lose your school if you file a false report. So do you want to file a report?
Even with the rape kit and everything, and my friend catching him raping me, they still don't believe me.
I reported it 2 different times to my squad leader. And he told me that there was nothing he can do about it because I didn't have any proof.
They actually did charge me with adultery. I wasn't married, he was.
They took me before my lieutenant commander. He says, "Do you think this is funny?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Is this all a joke to you?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "You're the 3rd girl to report rape this week. Are you guys like all in cahoots? Do you think this is a game?"
That brings us to the entertainment and sports industries, where celebrities have been getting away with rape and sexual assault for eons. The rape culture has permeated the entertainment industry so prevalently that in the last 25 years, only 2 celebrities have been convicted of a felony sexual assault or rape and went to jail. 1, Tupac Shakur, who invited a groupie back to his hotel room and shared her with his buddies. He was convicted of sexual abuse and sentenced to 1.5 years in jail. 2, Iron Mike Tyson, who invited a beauty pageant contestant over to his room at 3 a.m. and he orally assaulted her. He served 4 years in jail for rape. A glowing example of the rape culture among celebrities is the case of R. Kelly, who not only married the late great R&B legend Aaliyah at the age of 15, but he also videotaped himself having sex with another 15-year-old girl and urinating on her. When he was arrested, police found hundreds of photos of child pornography. After a 5-year delay, the case went to trial and he was found not guilty. But this guy takes the cake. He will go down as one of the most prolific celebrity serial rapists in history. Over 50 women have come forward to date. But according to statistics, only about 30% of victims report their assaults. Therefore, if we extrapolate, there may be over 150 victims out there of Mr. Cosby, which means there may be 100 or more victims who have yet to come forward for whatever reason. According to reports, women have alleged attacks starting in 1965. So for 50 years, it defies logic that there are only 50 victims, because predators prey. They are always hunting, and serial rapists, they don't stop until they get caught.
Whether he's guilty or innocent is unknown, but one thing is clear by Bill Cosby's own admission in a recently unsealed 2005 deposition. Cosby popped lewds in the 1970s and gave them to women he wanted to have sex with. Quaaludes, that is. But what exactly are quaaludes? The clinical term is methequalone. According to the independent medicine information website drugs.com, the synthetic barbiturate-like depressants affect the central nervous system and have sedative hypnotic effects. The eventual widespread abuse of the drug led to strict regulations, making it difficult to prescribe and illegal to possess quaaludes without a prescription. In 1984, Ronald Reagan signed a law making quaaludes illegal to produce and sell in the United States. So what do quaaludes do to the body? They basically promote relaxation, sleepiness, and feelings of euphoria while slowing the pulse rate and causing a drop in blood pressure. Known for being highly addictive, quaaludes can cause many other side effects, including mental confusion and blacking out.
I'm coming forward now because, you know, watching the news and seeing these ladies come forward, and Cosby isn't saying anything. He's not apologizing. He's pretending as if it did not happen. It did happen because it happened with me. I mean, he got my hand. He put it on his penis, and it's something I did not go there for. I did not initiate that kind of action. So it happened, and I want people to know that he's not the person that America thinks that he is. The person that just was a comedian, funny, I was shocked because I had met him before that one incident, and that kind of thing had not occurred. Of course, I'd never been in private with him. This was my first private meeting with him, but I felt pretty dirty, and I just felt disgusted and wish I didn't have my morals and principles, because I really wanted to act, and I really wanted to be a dancer and in the entertainment industry. And I mean, I think after I didn't go along with what he did, I mean, he did the hand gestures, but after that, he sort of dismissed me from his room, and he didn't speak to me the next day. I didn't hear from him the next day while I was out in Vegas by myself. If I could say one thing to Cosby now, it is, I really feel that he sort of took away my ability to do what I dreamed of all these years. When I was a little girl, I knew I wanted to be in entertainment, and I was kind of on my way. I did several movies, but after I met Cosby, nothing. And I just think that he should not clip the wings of people with dreams and desires to be in that environment or in that industry just because he's in a high position. He's in a position, but he should use it to help if possible. I'm not saying he's responsible for helping everybody, but he does not have to hinder them. And I feel that I was hindered by him because I just didn't go along with what his usual scheme and plan was with other women.
I never lost hope. I had dark days, and it's been a long, hard, frustrating journey. But I knew some way, someday, something would break, and the truth would come out. You know, the thing is that it's remarkable what he masterminded. It was decades of deceit and manipulation, and not just with his victims, but with the people around him and the people that surrounded him to protect him, and all of the minds that he manipulated.
The reason why I didn't tell the story all these years, or didn't say anything really, I didn't tell Sammy Davis, who was my lover and boyfriend for many years. I was with Sammy when this happened. We were on the road together. Is really because I was really afraid for my career, afraid that it wasn't the smart thing to do, to make a big stink of it. I have discovered and learned in my years in show business, which have been quite a few, I started my career in the late 60s, that this kind of thing, you know, happens a lot. I mean, men in show business are very powerful, and they assume that they're going to get from you sex, and it's an unspoken word. It just happens. I mean, they expect that you're going to give it to them, and you kind of figure you're going to give it to them, and they take it often, what they want. So I figured maybe because of the Hollywood mindset, it would be better for me if I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my sister. I didn't tell a soul. A few girlfriends in LA I went to and said, oh, you aren't going to believe what happened. But nobody was shocked and nobody was really surprised by it. What shocked me and surprised me was as this story is beginning to come out and all these women are coming forward, the things that happened with the other women, because Bill didn't drug me and it was so quick and so fast, I was standing. But to hear, it doesn't surprise me. I'm not shocked by it. I totally believe it. But I felt it was time to step up and step forward. And also I think that a lot of young women trying to have a career in show business, I think that they really believe that they have to put up with these kind of things in order to make it and have a career. Because if you don't, you get blacklisted, you can't get in, you can't get an audition, you can't get a job. You know, it is common in the business.
After he had won my complete trust and adoration, he drugged and raped me. The last contact I had with Bill Cosby was at the Cosby Show studios on my birthday in 1992. His last words to me were, "As far as I'm concerned, Bernard, you're dead. Do you hear me? You're dead, Bernard. You don't exist." I am coming forward to show my 6-year-old daughter to stand in truth and to say that I have survived Bill Cosby drugging and raping me.
I can name off 12 right now that I know of, 12 former bunnies that I know of that are ashamed to come forward, frightened to come forward, married with families, don't want to come forward, but they were also drugged and raped by Bill Cosby. Raped.
12 women that we've never seen before that have not gone to the media yet.
Nope.
PJ Maston says she wasn't going to come forward with her story until she heard about Judy Huth's lawsuit and the claim that she was sexually assaulted at just 15 years old. Cosby's attorneys have filed a motion to have that suit dismissed.
You don't do that to a child. A 15-year-old girl is a child. That's when I had to come forward. That was it for me. This man has to be held accountable. He's a serial rapist. He's been that way since the 60s.
As I looked up, his penis was out of his pants, and he shoved it into my mouth. His attack was fast, with surgical precision, and surprise was on his side.
I couldn't breathe. I was in shock. I thought of the boy possibly outside the door. When Cosby was done, there was a horrible mess of semen all over my face, my clothes, and in my hair. He took out a Kleenex to try and wipe off my face. I was bordering between vomiting and passing out. He was mumbling that I had been blessed with his semen, as if it was holy water. He gloated over my humiliation. He planned it. Even to this day, I am still ashamed that I went into shock. I wish I'd tried to kick him, but I felt like my heart had stopped. I couldn't catch my breath.
In the news, and you know, I've been taking a lot of heat for various reasons, and so I asked ABC News chief legal analyst Dan Abrams to come help me understand a lot of what's going on, and to help you understand so we're all on the same page. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Whoopi.
Hey,
How
baby.
with you?
50 women have alleged that he sexually assaulted them and drugged them, and basically, as a serial rapist. Why is he still on the street? He's never been arrested or put in jail. How is that possible?
A couple reasons. First of all, I think that there were women who were reluctant to come forward. I think they were ashamed or embarrassed.
Right. But of the 50 who did?
Well, look, but I think that early on, some of them didn't come forward.
Right.
The reason now that effectively nothing can be done.
Okay, nothing.
Nothing. Pretty much nothing.
Okay.
I mean, there's a defamation suit out there, et cetera. But as a legal matter, is because the statute of limitations has expired, both on civil and criminal, in the states where this was alleged to have happened.
Right.
And look, that's a legal technicality, right?
Okay,
I mean, I think it is fair to say, when you look at that, you say, really?
Yeah.
That's the reason? Is because of a statute of limitations? It sure feels like a technicality, and when you look at the totality of these cases, I think that the public, put aside a courtroom, can say, you know what? Wow. It doesn't just look like he did it.
Right.
He admits that he gave quaaludes to young women to have sex.
with. Okay. So why is there a statute of limitation on rape cases? I always thought that rape cases were open-ended.
Yeah. And look, there's a movement now across the country to make sure that there is not a statute of limitations for rape.
And is that something that we can, as a collective, who do we write to say you must remove this statute of limitations, because every woman who does come through should be able to take her accuser to court and make him prove that he's innocent. So what do we do? Who do we write to?
So rape is a state crime.
Right.
And so that means each state is going to have a different law.
Okay.
And you have to then write to your state legislators and pressure them to say, look, we want to change our law.
What we've learned is there's no recourse for these women except what they're doing. If this is to be tried in the court of public opinion, I got to say, all of the information that's out there kind of points to guilt. Say to women, if something happens, don't wait, because what waiting does, it can make it harder to prove your case. If you want to get a bonehead off the street, if you want to get him off the street, we need you to step out. And if you step out, then he can be put away. Thank you. Also, please contact your state representative and ask about the statute of limitations on cases like these. Thank you, Dan Abrams. We will be right back.